And his response was interesting. It was to educate on how to create a sense of oneness, how we're all part of this world together, how children can play together without caring about skin color, religion, or any other factor.
With mindfulness, it really helps us to feel more embodied. It really helps to balance out our energy and our consciousness.
So, well, first of all, thank you, Richie, for being here. I've read much of your work and watched many of your videos. Very, very inspiring. So, thank you for all you've done. I mainly work in the corporate and organizational space. So, your work has given me an inroad where I can say, look, the science is supporting this. So it's a joy to meet you. I'm curious. My question is, I was watching your September 2020 talk with the Dalai Lama, and you asked him what you think scientists should focus on at this point to address the world's needs. And his response was interesting. It was to educate on how to create a sense of oneness, how we're all part of this world together, how children can play together without caring about skin color, religion, or any other factor. And you alluded in your research that it's now showing that mindfulness can lessen implicit bias. I do a lot of work in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. So my question is, are you going down that path now? Is this active research?
Yes, thank you for the question, Brian. And yes, it is active research. We're doing a bunch of work now looking at very rigorous measures of implicit bias. And we have data showing that both a combination of mindfulness and connection practices, loving kindness and compassion practices together are particularly effective in reducing implicit bias. So I think that this is, it's really important. And one of the, going back to innate basic goodness, there's a lot of evidence to show that before about the age of 3 years, a toddler does not make any distinction based on skin color. Absolutely none. They're oblivious to it. And after roughly the age of 3, those distinctions begin to be made. And so, again, it's clear that we come into the world in an unbiased state. And those biases are obviously learned. And I think that we have a moral obligation to provide skills to our children to resist the devastating impact of certain messages that they get from the media and other sources that inculcate these biases in them.
Right.
And these biases, by the way, are also at the root of the achievement gap in the United States. They're one of the major and increasingly problematic issues in our education in the US is the growing gap in academic achievement between Blacks and whites. And that achievement gap is substantially driven by what educators call a disciplinary gap, which is the disproportionate administration of harsh and punitive punishment toward members of racial and ethnic outgroups. And that is driven by implicit bias. And so I think that we have a moral obligation to do everything we can in our teacher education to prepare teachers to be as free of these biases as possible. Now, it's not, we're not going to be able to completely free ourselves of these unless, we're fully awake. Short of that, we can reduce these biases. We know that.